You want to stand out. You want to be great. You are significant. Welcome back to Candid Conversations with Charisa. I know it's been a minute, but we are back, and this season 6 is about to be lit. It's about to be hot, and it's about to be all about you. Why? I'm interested in watching the legacy that you want to build and that you want to leave, because you want to be transformed and you want to transform lives. So this season is going to be all about you, your self-development, your self-growth, and your self-leadership. Why? Because you get to change the world. You get to fulfill a purpose. And guess what? Here at Candid Conversations, I get to help you leave a mark in this world. So here's another real question, and I say real because I'm sure that all of us experience scare and fear and what it means to do something afraid or not do it at all. So the question is, how and what does doing it scared look like? And a lot of you have heard me say that I've just been doing a lot of things that I've done in the last 6-7 years. I've just been doing it scared. And first of all, what is doing it scared? Where's that fear coming from? And for me, I've now come to realize, because before, my fear was rooted in not wanting to fail. When my parents passed 7 years ago, and my brother and I were left to manage the company, manage the enterprise, I had no idea what I was doing by myself. I always had my mom and dad there to support, to provide some wisdom and advice. Now it's just my brother and I left to try and figure this thing out. So talk about scared, and it was a scare of failing. It was a scare of falling and not having a cushion. 7 years later, I'm now understanding and realizing that that fear is not because I'm afraid of failing or afraid of falling, but I'm actually afraid because I'm doing something new, doing something I've never done before, or I'm doing something big. And in my reality, it's very true. I am now embarking on new things, new adventures, new experiences, new activities, new skills that I've had to try and develop and refine. And so that newness my mind is telling me, stop, we've never done this before. We don't know what's gonna happen. You're scared. My brain is telling me, you're doing something too big and massive from what we know. You need to not do anything. You're scared. And so that fear was more of a prohibitor than it was an enhancer. And then I got to a place where I start embracing that fear, because I started recognizing that I'm about to do something big, or I'm about to do something new. And those two things are great. So then I literally started acting and moving and walking and operating and functioning. I started doing it scared, meaning scare was present, fear was present while I was doing it. So then I'm asked, how do you do it scared? Better yet, what does doing it scared look like? So in my case, I'll show you what doing it scared looks like. Number one, doing it scared looks like embracing the relationship or a relationship of the unknown. And so the reason why my mind is telling me, no, stop, we've never done that, you are afraid, is because it only knows what it's done before. That's just the way the human mind is. When you've done something, and depending on the result you get, whether it's pain or pleasure, the mind is going to associate that pleasure with the activity. So if the activity or the action or the function that I do gives my mind pleasure, it's going to say, okay, let's do that. That's pleasure. We like that. If I do an activity or an action and it gives me pain, my mind is going to say, no, we don't like that. Let's not do that. You are afraid. Anything that resembles anything of the pleasure or the pain activity, my mind is aware of. Anything outside of that is like, no, we've never tried that before. We don't know if it's going to give you pain or pleasure. Don't do it. You are scared. And so then I had to embrace the fact that, okay, brain, okay, mind, you don't know, you are correct. We've never done this before. You are correct. We don't know if we're going to fail. We don't know if we're going to succeed. But guess what? We need to do it anyway in order to know. So you actually have to embrace the fact that you don't know if you're going to fail. You don't know if you're going to succeed. You don't know if it's going to be right. You don't know if it's going to give you the result you want. You don't know if you're going to fall. But that relationship with the unknown should be a relationship that you actually embrace. And so I had to embrace the idea that one of the relationships in my life is a relationship with the unknown. And it shouldn't be a relationship of fear of the unknown. Just a relationship with the unknown, and knowing that when I don't know something, the only way for me to know what's going to happen is to actually act. So in doing it scared, it literally looked like me embracing the unknown and my relationship with it. Instead of looking at the unknown as something that I don't want to touch because I don't know what's going to happen on the other side, I look at it as we are in a relationship. Let's figure this out together. It's no different than me not knowing what in the world living with my husband would look like. Had no idea. No idea. But guess what? I did it anyway. I embarked on marriage with him, and here we are living together, and you start to learn new things. You start to learn and understand what he likes, and you start to learn more about yourself, and you start to learn these things. And the only way I would have known 2 years later what living with my husband looks like is to actually do it. So in doing it, it looks like embracing that relationship that I would have never have done before. Number 2, doing it scared looks like finding the courage to act and move on, to act and move forward, to act and take the step. And we all understand, and I want to be a broken record because we all have heard it before, courage is not doing something without fear. It's actually doing something with fear present. One thing I will say and add to that is courage is doing something with fear present, just not allowing fear to drive. So if you look at a car and fear being the driver or the passenger, you're actually taking the wheel away from fear. You're taking control of the wheel, and you're saying to fear, you can either sit in the front seat as a passenger or you could sit in the back seat if you want, but you're no longer driving. But fear is very present. So this is what doing it scared look like. Scare can be there. Scare is there because you're doing something big, no problem. Scare is there because you're doing something new, no problem. That scare is a protection. It's trying to protect you from the unknown. It's trying to protect you from what you don't know. But you get to say, I don't know, and that's okay. Since you're scared, you sit there. You are supposed to be scared, fair. You sit there in passenger seat, let me drive. Let's figure this out together. And you have the courage to drive and have a whole conversation with fear. Have a whole conversation and say, you know what, we don't know what we are about to do. We don't know what the results are going to be. Maybe we will fail. Maybe we will succeed. But guess what? The only way that we can know is if we drive from this point to this point and see what happens. So for me, doing it scared is literally finding the courage to drive with fear present. Now I say finding the courage to still drive or to still act and move with fear present because this is when fear can have all a mouth. This is when you can hear it and feel it more because it actually wants to out-drown you. It actually wants to overpower you. And this is when you have to drive with the noise. You have to drive with all the clutter and the bad thoughts and the negative thoughts. You have to drive with fear talking to you because you can't necessarily control what it's saying, but you get to completely silence the voice of fear in that car with you and say, listen, you can sit here and you can be here, What you ain't gonna do is control my mind and control where I'm going. I'm driving. And then you just take the courage and keep moving and say, Fair, have a seat. Literally, Fair, have a seat. That's what it looks like. The third thing that shows up in my life when I'm doing it scared is when I'm doing it scared, I get to create as I go because I don't know. So because I don't know what's gonna happen, I literally get to create what I want. I get to create as I go. I get to create in the process. I get to create the result. That way, I'm not following a footstep, I'm not following a path, but I'm paving the path for myself. I'm paving the path to the unknown and hoping that I'm going to get the result that I want. Trusting that I'm going to get the result that I want, but also trusting that even if I don't get the desired results, taking the action was so much more important so I can figure out what I must do differently the next time. Doesn't mean that I get to fail or I don't get the result I want and then I give up and say I'm not doing this anymore. No, I get to say, guess what? I've tried this one time. I've even tried this 2 times and 3 times. It didn't work. So I know what not to do and what to do the 4th time. And then you keep going and you keep doing it scared. You keep doing it scared. You keep acting and you keep going forward and you keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other. And then you are assessing. And if it's not what you want, then you adjust. Then you adjust. You change the recipe, you do a little tweak, and then guess what? You act again. You act again, all doing it scared. So that's what doing it scared looks like for me. It might look like something different for you. And I would love to see what your journey of doing it scared has been. This is another episode where I hope that everything I have said will either encourage, inspire, motivate, or allow you to take action to transform your life for the greater person that you can be. So remember, if you're scared, that's okay. Fear can be present, but you still get to do it anyway. Until next time, see you soon. Are you ready? After just listening to that, are you ready? I know you're ready. So if you want to now get up and go and start acting and putting forth what it is that you want the world to know and that you want to serve, now is the time and you are well equipped. Make sure you like, make sure you share, and make sure you comment below. I enjoy reading your comments. Go ahead and make your mark in the world because you are great.